Hello everyone from Bishop Road School. It's Mr. Dice here, speaking from home. Unless you're watching this, I presume you're safely tucked away in your own home. I'm just producing a series of videos for you that'll help you with one or two art projects, which hopefully will get you started off so that you can have your own creative splurges and do all sorts of wonderful things art-wise while you're at home. And we're trying to make sure that it's fairly simple and straightforward, and things that you can gather up around you that most people have in their homes. So hopefully we'll make it as easy as possible for you, but as much fun, and I hope you'll be pleased with what we produced. So for this little topic that we're going to do, we're going to be doing something called observational drawing. Sounds very grand, but what it really means is we're going to be observing something, which means we're going to be looking at something carefully. And the subject matter, the thing we're going to be looking at carefully, is this beautiful ammonite. Now, an ammonite is a fossilized sea creature that was living millions of years ago in Bishopston, possibly, and has now been fossilized, turned into stone, and is, someone's found it, cut it in half so we can see the interior, the inside, the working part of it, and has been polished to make it into this thing of beauty. Now, the first thing we notice when we look at it, it's all black and white. So it's going to be shades of grey. And we're going to use our pencils again to do this, because pencils are quite easy to find around the house. The first thing you notice when you look at it as well, apart from it being black and white, is the fact that it's got this beautiful spiral shape. Now the spiral shape starts here, and if I trace it round with my finger, it goes round, and as it goes round it gets wider and wider and wider until it finishes here at the end. And this is where the creature would have lived, inside of here, its body, soft tissue. I'll do that again. It's got this beautiful spiral shape that comes round and gets bigger as it goes around. The other thing I'd like you to notice at the moment as well is that it fills up the whole of this piece of paper, this rectangle. So it starts across here, slightly off centre, slightly in this quarter, starts off here and goes round. As it comes around here, it gets very close to the edge of the paper here, close to the edge of the paper on this side, close to the edge of the paper here, and close to the edge of the paper here. So those are the things we're going to be looking out for. I'll show you in the next bit how we're going to start drawing, but before I do, I want to show you some of the pictures that children have done in former years. Actually, I'll turn that round and show you a little bit better that way so you can see it your side. And again, we've got this beautiful spiral shape, and this person's put in the detail of these little sections that come through and these little dips here, and also started some shading. Let's find another example for you. This is a rather nice one. This one hasn't got quite so much detail, but the shading is really rather nice on here. So again, we can see quite clearly that beautiful spiral shape. We've got some details coming in, but also beautiful shading, so it really makes it feel three-dimensional. And the last one I'll show you is this one. I hope you can see that clearly. And again, it's got that beautiful shape, and someone's taken a great deal of time and trouble with their pencil here. You can see slightly darker down here to have shaded in the outside. So I'm going to show you now how we go about making that. So we're going to use some fairly simple materials again. A sheet of A4 paper, a couple of pencils, a rubber or eraser, and a pencil sharpener. And that's all there is to it. At the end of this video, I'm going to leave the last image, the image of the ammonite itself. So if you want to copy from that, that'll be a really good point of reference for you. So you can just pause the video and look really carefully at the ammonite. Now, on my piece of paper, I'm going to find a corner. If you think of quartering it, halving it that way and halving it that way, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. And I'm going to start off in this quarter down here. And I'm not going to go right the way to the edge. I'm going to come here and I'm going to make a dot just about here. I'll do it so you can see it relatively clearly. That dot's going to be there. And that's going to be our starting point. And our finishing point is going to be across, also at the bottom of the sheet of paper here, right on the edge. Before I start using my pencil, I'm going to use my finger to try and get into that way of doing the spiral. So the spiral is going to come out, it's going to curve around, and it's going to come down to the bottom of the piece of paper, to the edge, right up to the top, and round again. So I'm going to do that a couple of times, quite slowly to start off with at first. The bottom, the side, the top, and the bottom edge. This time I'm going to do it a little bit quicker. And you've got two ways of doing this. You can either do it in one continuous line, like I'm trying to do now. So it's going to come down and round, touch that corner, come up to the top of the piece of paper. Whoops, there goes my pencil, and back round again. I'm just going to thicken that line up for you with a darker pencil so you can see what I did. And that way I've done it in a fairly continuous way. I haven't really stopped as I'm going along. And some people might prefer that. Other people, I'm going to take another piece of paper, other people might prefer to start at their starting place again, which we'll find in that last quarter. And then we're going to go out, and you might want to go backwards and forwards. So you're doing a backwards and forwards line, so you're a bit more in control of it. So now I've started to come round. I'm going to come round and down, and it's got a curve down here all the time. It's not really a straight line, it's a curved line. So instead of doing it in a continuous way, I'm going backwards and forwards. Come up to that corner, and now I'm going to cut across this corner. Can you see it's getting wider as we go along? I'm going to come round, backwards and forwards line, till I come to the top. And now I'm going to come down to the bottom of my piece of paper. So once we've got that line like so, we find the last one is going to come around to this sort of shape. So it's going to be curved around like a snail's shell. Again, you can do it in a continuous line, or if you want, you can come round and do it like this. So it's a backward and forward type motion. Now in here we've got the little dot, and around you can see, if I show you the original again, we've got these lines that are going to come from to make, so they're going to spiral around themselves, and they're going to fill in those gaps tightly at first, and as we go around they get wider and wider. The gap between here and here gets smaller and smaller as we go around. So when we start here, we're going to have lines that come like so, almost like a spider we're starting off with. So if you think of that dot as the middle of the spider, and then as we come around, those lines, they start off fairly close together, and now again they're curved as we come around. I'll move that out the way so you can see a bit more clearly. and all the time we're spreading out the shape of that. And that's going to be the last one that I'm going to do. So we've got to this. If you want to go over again, make those lines a little darker. I've got a graphite pencil here, which makes it easier for me to show you to make it darker. And if you've got a graphite pencil, they're absolutely brilliant for you to be able to use. Now again, when I look at my original, and you'll be able to look and make comparisons all the time, you can see in the middle of these curved lines that we've done, we've got these little bits here that poke out, and those are in the middle, and again they come round until they're quite tiny, and they're a little bit in the middle, and they're coming round in an edge sort of shape. So I'm going to do one there, and they've got little bits on the sides. Try and keep in the middle if I can. Move that out of the way again so you can see what I'm doing a bit more clearly. And here, if you want to turn the paper around to make it easier for you to find where the half is, then that's absolutely fine. Turn the paper around. So I'm sort of going around in that spiral shape with my piece of paper as I go. And they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So now it's beginning to get a bit more detail in. Also, if I look back to my original, I can see here there's a sort of shading. It's darker because these bits are hollowed out. This bit's not smooth. Well, it is smooth, but it goes in. So it's got a shade here. You can see it gets darker here, and that goes around again. So if I take my thing here, that's going to be on the inside. Now I've got graphite pencil, so it makes it easier for me to create that shadow. If you don't have graphite, what I've done some, let's get it around that way. I've got some pencil sharpenings, and it's just a basic where I've sharpened my pencil. If I tip the pencil sharpenings out, you can see that I've got lots of the bits of wood, but if I separate that, I've also got a little pile here of the graphite or lead from the middle of the pencil. If I rub my finger in that, get some on my finger and transfer that to here, I have to rub quite hard with this because this is just ordinary pencil. So again, I'll go back to my little supply, and I'm going to come in here with some shadow. Oh, that's nice. That's gone. I've got a little streak there where I've caught a piece of lead. And when you run out, all you've got to do is to resharpen a pencil. And when you're finished, be good and pop that into the bin. So you can see we're beginning now to get to something that's slightly looking more like what we've actually got. Here we go. So I'm just going to finish that off quickly for you. And we can use that finger that's got a bit of lead on it, or graphite, to finish off there. And it's beginning to look a bit. Now, you might want to use a different pencil now, and by using a side-to-side method, you can hear my pencil moving. You could actually give that a different texture. I won't do all of them, but you can get what I'm talking about now. I say to people, if you don't like using your finger, you can always rip a little corner off a piece of rough paper and use that, and you can rub really hard with that, and that will give you a better finish. Also, when I look, last little thing really, when I look here, I can see lighter areas where the light's catching where it's dipped in. So with my rubber, I'm now going to just make, I'm going to rub that off. So I've now got dark and medium tone and light. I'll try it here for you. So I'm actually taking off some of that graphite to form. I'm going to rub quite hard and then get rid of the bits and pieces. And then to finish off, you could use another form of, I'm going crossways this time, and I'm not going so carefully, and I'm going a bit more quickly. So instead of going from side to side, I'm going on a diagonal, so it gives it a slightly different background. Now, I've done it in a fairly rushed way, but I think if you took your time, you could make something, well, better than I've done. So you could make something marvellous. And if you mounted that on another piece of paper, that would look lovely, really lovely, perhaps in on your fridge or your bedroom wall or the front room of the house. Now I'm going to leave that just there for you so that you can pause that and observe it as clearly as I've been able to. So, good luck. Well, I hope you enjoy doing that observational drawing. The most difficult bit, obviously, is getting the spiral shape right at the beginning. So don't worry if you don't get it right the first time. Try and try again. And once you get it right, then all the rest of the detail will follow in. So, yeah, have fun with that. And again, if you are pleased with your finished item or the outcome, please take a photo of it and email it into school, and we'll try and put it up on the school website. So look after yourselves, have as much fun as you possibly can, and I will see you hopefully very soon. Bye.